What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Chasing Edges podcast. I'm your host, Brian Peters. I have an absolute juice box on the podcast today, Cory Gregory. He's the current co-owner of Max Effort Muscle Supplements, Old School Gym in Granville, Ohio, and Cory G Fitness, where he pumps out workouts and diets and nuggets on lifting and technique. He has 25 years in the industry. He's an incredibly committed human that has just treated himself like an experiment and kept competition in his life. So he constantly competed for the last 25 years in powerlifting and bodybuilding. He dropped some absolute gems on the pod today about elite competitive mindset, why he trains at 4 a.m., which is incredibly powerful, and then obviously the power of consistency, keeping competition in his life, and the magic that lives in having and abiding by craziness and keeping craziness in your life and finding what separates you from other people. Hope you enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Chasing Edges podcast. I'm here with one of the juiciest humans on the planet, Cory Gregory, Cory G. And he's actually hosting me here at his podcast media compound here at the Max Effort headquarters here in Granville, Ohio.
Granville, Ohio.
G, what's going on, man?
What's good, Brian? First off, I'm fucking pumped that you're in this room. The vision's coming true. Creating great content, impactful stuff. Like, I just love having you with the 4 a.m. crew. You've been a great addition just to our overall kind of picture here at Old School / Max Effort. Just being around here has been great to get to know you. So excited to do this.
For sure, man. And the culture, the environment, obviously the heavy weight has all been impactful on myself too. And that's kind of where I want to start the conversation anyway, just because obviously like coming out of sport, I didn't have a lot of structure, and I found this group, and obviously it's not a normal group.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted anything to do with normal anyways.
Sure.
So like
we share that.
Yeah, for sure. But so where's the 4 a.m. crew come from? Like how'd that start?
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of people, you read all this stuff online about sleeping not very much and getting up early, and it becomes kind of cliche at some points, right? And a lot of people are drawn to it though because they know it's crazy. And what I always try to tell people is that I've wanted so much out of this life, it just ended up being this way. That I wanted to be able to compete Tom Brady level, like into my 40s. I wanted to be able to run multiple businesses, but most importantly, I want to be a dad. I got practice after school, right, with my kids, 3 kids. Like, I can't be training at night. So, by the way, if I don't want my phone ringing, I still want to be competitive. Guess what time that happens at? It was 7, then it was 5. And now it's 4, which means I get up at 3 and we train by 4. No one's calling me. Everyone I care about and love is still asleep probably, and that would need my time. And I can just be Cory Gregory at Old School Gym. Cory Gregory, the weightlifter, has nothing to do with business. No one gives a fuck. Like, I'm in here competing like an athlete. The resume outside of that doesn't matter at that time. And I think that right there, that time that is mine, I think people give into that too early, and I want to be at the highest level of competition, and I need that time. Just like y'all needed practice in the league, you need uninterrupted time for film. People don't really give that to themselves anymore, but I do, and I protect that time, and it is my obligation to myself. So I'm obligated to be here as a coach to help guys, but I'm fucking here anyway. So if you don't come, I'm still here, and I'll still be here next week and next month, and I was here 5 years ago, and I'm just here. So it's like it became the path to success for me that I won't quit because I already know the result. It's now just time involved, and I am very protected of it, and I love it.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously you hear consistency throughout that as well.
Sure.
But the big thing is which I've become, because I've been protected by the sporting environment, the sporting culture, is that you protect this environment and you set up like non-negotiable space for this level of success or this level of maintenance that you want to require.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess like where did that start to develop?
I think I started to see here's what was interesting. The evolution of the group, right? So just to give some context, our group look like bodybuilders more or athletes, but we're a powerlifting group. Drug-free powerlifters. There's about 20 of us, all walks of life. Construction guys that are fitness, pro athletes, ex-pros. Don's a professor. Like, I mean, there's all walks of life, which is amazing, and all levels of athletes and all different ages, from as young as like when my, high school kids come in occasionally all the way to in their 50s, big wide range. At 5 o'clock, there was 4 of us, which is interesting. As soon as we went to 4, it changed everything. And I think 2 things. 1, it brings even crazier people because you have to be. 2, everyone could still get to work no matter where they lived in the city. Guys are driving up to an hour, past probably 25 gyms. They would drive probably past. There was one of our best lifters was driving from Marysville.
Yeah, I like that.
Zach Matheny's driving from downtown. Cole was living on campus, going to Ohio State, driving out. Like, we had people that really want to be there. So it weeds all the idiots out. If you're in the bar on Thursday, you're not coming here on Friday. So it basically, by default, it created a level of discipline that was just the standard. And then it changed like the culture completely. Like, I always had that culture inside, but then now it was dripped onto way more humans that were fucking really starting to go to an excellent level. And then we started swiping numbers and going to meets and winning, and you just saw everything raise up. My expectation on myself has always been a lot. Now it's the expectation on the group, because once again, I've been hurt off and on for 2 years. I still am here every day. I come every day to beat everybody. They might not know that, but I'm here to, now I might not beat anybody, but I'm here to beat everybody but help. And so I think that it's just a different mentality. And when people ask me like, gee, you'd have made enough money, you can create your own schedule, why would you still do this? And I'm like, if I already know something is setting me up to separate me from everyone else, and I don't really watch anybody anyway. I just do me. I watched a thing from Lil Wayne a long time ago, and he said, I don't give a fuck what anybody else is doing. I'm just out here getting money and doing my own thing. And that's the fucking truth. I'm doing what's organic to myself, what I love to do, how I can impact people. And that setup is I have to have my time to coach, to compete, and to set up my brain to like get my day rolling. And the 4 a.m. crew is a thing, but it's like a lifestyle that I'll be dedicated to until I probably like am retired. And even that, I think I'll still be here coaching. I just think it's something that I don't know that I can get away from.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of stuff to unpack there, but
it's deep, dude.
But it's really cool in the fact that like you have this supreme focus now to again produce this level of not only performance but this business money making concept as well. And I know you're a big believer in confidence and generating confidence. Like that's your recipe.
It is.
Is there any other stuff that's pushed you towards this level of confidence? Because it takes a lot these days to, like, a lot of people throw rocks at people that are doing big things and extreme things, which you're doing.
For sure.
Like, how have you developed and maintained that confidence?
Yeah, so that is one thing I think that weightlifting done for all of us, right? Sports has done for all of us, is building confidence. I think my confidence has come from the ultimate consistency of this crazy model, because Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell said something very impactful a long time ago that I read. He said, crazy people give me crazy results and average people give me average results. He was talking about lifters.
Let's go.
The ones I got to bail out of jail are the ones making the world records.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to be doing that, but it made sense to me, because I was like, if I'm just doing what everyone else is out here doing, then I'm just going to have that result.
Yeah.
Well, my results have never been that way because I've never subscribed to that model. And I really can, every day I get up to build confidence in what I'm about. So it allows, when those rocks are being thrown, 1, I might not even see the rocks because I'm not really looking. And 2, if they hit me, I done been putting so much time into this fucking muscle. You done felt the back of my arm before. That motherfucker's hard as a rock. You're going to bounce off anyway.
This boy is dense.
Yeah,
guys.
right?
He's dense.
I got undercover jackness. So it's one of those things where I'm building up these walls in a non-fake way to handle all that, because I'm always trying wild stuff. And, I mean, the people that go against the grain are who change the world anyway.
No doubt.
So it's like there's always been something that's intrigued me about being that way, and it's only continued to progress everything forward. So I think that confidence of the things when I'm really struggling, I think, what have I really been through? I've been through some crazy highs and crazy lows. When I went through a really bad low with my old business where I had to leave the business and whatever, I had, breakfast with my idol, Arnold.
Shout out
Arnold. But I had breakfast with Arnold, who was my business partner at the time, months later, and he just said, dude, it's all how you stand back up. I've had so many things that have worked and so many things that not worked, that some people know, some people don't. It's all how you respond from the situation. And I'll never forget that, because it was real nonchalant, because he was like, yeah, basically like, you got it. So it's like, how do you respond?
Yeah,
and
you got the skill set, you got the
for
grit.
sure.
Yeah.
But hearing it from obviously somebody I looked up to my entire life in person, I was like, there it is. And then so I just kind of shouldered that and said, I just got to keep these processes. I got to, really dial them in to where I'm like Teflon in a way that I can just like dive deeper, tweak a little more, and then I can just keep this process continuing. And so, yeah, for some people, they can't handle it. It wears them out, but I fucking love it. My wife will tell you straight up, I bounce out of bed in the morning. She's like, I'll go home and kids will be complaining about waking up or whatever. Like, I'm just happy to be up and alive and be able to do what I love to do.
And there's simple logic in that. Like,
Simple.
I'm alive, let's go. And so like, that's kind of the essence of chasing edges. Like, I want to get the most out of my mind, my body, my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you maximize that, which is why like I have so much respect. And
Thank you.
One of the main reasons I kept coming back as well. So I don't even know how to like even tick at that, where you've obviously have this extreme nature to you, these extreme edges that you're chasing. Again, I'm going to keep digging into the chasing edges side of it. But so you've done that with the body.
Mm-hmm.
When did that start? So obviously you have this whole background as like coal miner to cover model to all these things. And so I'm
the real motherfucking Zoolander.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
I knew you'd like that.
Yeah. I think I've got the black lung.
Yes.
Yeah. But so like I want to get into each side of yourself, because you're capable of all these masks. You can be the entrepreneur, you can be the juicy motivating speaker, then you can be the savage squatting 600, 700 pounds in the gym. So we'll start with the physical side of it.
Sure.
So these edges, this extreme side of it, you want the most out of your body. When did that push start? I know you started as a personal trainer and then eventually got into the West Side model and powerlifting.
It started actually earlier than that, because I realized, first off, grew up in a trailer. My mom could barely pay the rent, like $150 a month. And I was like an okay athlete. So living in the country back in coal mine area, back in like eastern or southeast Ohio, however, down by the river, Ohio Valley, it's like, I thought sports was going to be my way out. Lifting isn't a job at home 20 years ago. There's no internet.
Yeah.
So yes, everybody, I'm 43. There's no internet growing up. And so I don't know anybody that lifts weights and is a trainer, owns a gym. The guy that did own the one gym in my town also had a job. So like no one I know, except for like a fictional character in California that's a personal trainer for his life.
Yeah.
I mean, Richard Simmons is the only personal trainer like that was on TV.
Yeah, the guys in magazines or whatever you see.
And then those guys, they're professional bodybuilders, but I don't have any concept of really what's happening, right? And Arnold is Terminator 2 at this time.
Yeah.
So you're like, you know what I mean? So there's not a lot of things making sense, although I have this ultimate passion early for lifting weights and making myself better. And so what I realized though early was I'm a good athlete, but I'm not a great athlete. And I will put in probably, as a basketball guy, I honestly probably put in twice the amount of work as all my friends. I can say that with
confidence.
Pretty good confidence, and I average like 4 a game. Now, I might have scored 10 one game, and I could dunk pretty early. Like I said, I was better than a basic athlete, but I didn't get recruited to do anything. But I thought that was my way out, Brian. I really thought I was going to get a scholarship. I'll outwork everybody. I'll get a scholarship, and then I can try to like change my family situation. My junior year, plus I was like a 2.1 student. That probably didn't help. Or 2.3, I think is what I graduated with. But I get to my senior year, and I'm not being recruited for anything. And I played with a couple guys 6'7", had some opportunities. Like, so I knew like they would have came to me if they were there. And so I really had like a realization like, damn, you really don't like to do anything but lift weights. You're not going to play D anything. Community college.
I've maximized my athleticism.
Yeah, my JUCO skills ain't like nothing's there. Yeah. Nothing's happening. There was no defined path for me. Honestly, it was my first year to really realize that as I graduated, and I was like, literally going to community college, staying home in Steubenville, Ohio area. I stack lumber at a lumber mill from, I would go to school, from 8 to 12, and I would stack lumber from 1 to 10. In the most boring fucking job of my life. And the Danoon lumber guys like taught me a lot, but a lot of them didn't like what they did. They made decent livings, they provided for their family, but a lot of the guys I worked with didn't like their job, right? And I was just like, how the fuck do I do? Like, I just didn't want to subscribe to what my family had done, which is coal mining for generations, or do jobs like this. And it just didn't seem like there was any fulfillment. Yeah. And there was a big hole for that for me that I like wasn't willing to submit to. And so then I like was on a real big search of how does that not happen to me? And could I was a coal miner for 6 months. I was good at it. I could have easily stayed there. I was making $1,000 a week. Like I worked 90-hour weeks, bro. Like once again, I came up with this idea of I watched my dad coal mine for 20 years. My stepdad, who was just here yesterday, somebody asked him how long he was underground. 32 years underground, Yikes. 10 years above ground. He worked at the mine 42 fucking years. Yeah, but still would work 16 hours, come home and bench 300 pounds in our basement with his feet in the air, unracking it by himself. So I watched guys have fitness involved in their life, but I was like, how can I apply that work ethic that I learned as a kid from my mom, struggling and pushing and that, but into this? And that was like when I could match those two up, I really felt like I was basically going to be unstoppable, Brian.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people get into that category. Like a lot of my friends and like people in my circles get into that point where they get to a job that pays the bills and that kind of thing. So and I think every human has this curious side of their potential, whether it is like career oriented or body oriented. So what was your tipping point?
Tipping point was this, as it was interesting because Dustin, my business partner, Coach Myers, that coached at Ohio State, the strength and conditioning I owned the gym with, and Max Effort, he was at the University of Cincinnati. So they left. So my friends all left, right, to go to school. And I didn't have the money to do it. And I didn't want to take out debt at that time because I really remember my actual name was on the wall in the dorms at the University of Cincinnati because I had set up with my financial, like I had got some financial aid. I had everything approved. And I didn't know how I was going to pay back $14,000. Yeah. Which sounds funny, but I like couldn't make sense of that because our level of living was like poverty level. And I was like, this just doesn't make sense to me. I'm just going to stay home, pay a couple $1,000. Like I just didn't feel comfortable taking it on.
I think that's incredibly logical, which is, but it's crazy intuitive because I think that's part of the whole problem with the United States too, because
Correct.
Like I spent some time up in Canada and like the cost of university up there is a couple racks, 5-7 max.
Yeah, and like, so you can recover from that.
Yeah, but so you can make these gambles on your education that, like again, like our system down here doesn't support.
And so I couldn't mentally get there, so I didn't leave. What I did was I went to community college. But by the way, when I would tell people that, they would look at me like I'm a fucking loser. Yeah, no doubt. And it was like because I didn't have the money. And no one was like saying that to me, but I could just feel it on them, right?
No,
but anyway,
it's super real.
It was real, bro. It was real. But here's what happened was, all my friends, I'd come up and hung out at Ohio State and UC and whatever. I was still kind of getting involved in it, but I was at home. Well, they said they were moved to Columbus, and then I found this really saved me. Don Labenthal, who you work out with, he's in our crew. He started a 1-year exercise specialist certificate program at Columbus State. It was the first year for it. It was a pilot. There was only 6 people in my class. So I went on, I don't know if it was online or I called them. I can't remember. I think the internet was just starting to figure out that like, okay, this is like a personal training thing that I can do, but it's not a weekend. I can do it for a year. And so then I had a goal. I'm going to get the fuck out of here, but how the fuck am I going to get out of here? And Randy comes to me and says, hey, they're hiring college help at the coal mine. Are you interested? Because I was working at Danoon Lumber at the time. I was like, well, how much does it pay? I'm making $7 an hour stacking fucking lumber, hating my life for 10 hours a day, 5 days, 6 days a week. He goes, it's $14 an hour, but you can work as much as you want. So $21 an hour overtime. He goes, if you're smart, you get the overtime within 3 days, 4 days. He was a savage. So he taught me like all of that craziness. So I was like, fucking sign me up. He goes, but you have to come with me one time to see if like you're okay with being underground. So, 600 feet underground, it looks like it's falling in. I mean, it's not, but it looks like it is. It's like the second biggest, the most dangerous job in the world. So anyway.
Just an anxiety attack.
Oh, for most people, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm fourth generation. Great-grandfather actually died in a coal mine explosion in the 30s. I got him tattooed on my forearm. My grandfather did it for a short period of time, but he's like 6'2", so he did it for a short period of time and then went to construction. My dad did it. My uncles did. Like, everybody does it. So I go underground for the first time, and I'm thinking, okay. And, yeah, it's a little scary. You're riding. I'm riding, like, 20 minutes underground. They're showing me all around, and I think to myself, all right, I got like 4 to 6 months. I can do anything to get basically to get out of here. And I knew that I needed, because my parents wouldn't co-sign for me or couldn't. They didn't have good credit. Yeah. I was going to have to pay for my rent for a year, which, by the way, is like $400 a month for a room on campus, right? So like $5,000 essentially to live with a house full of guys like everyone else does in college. I was going to have to pay for my college at Columbus State, which is going to be like 3 racks or so. I had to buy a different car and living expenses. So I knew I needed to save probably between $10,000 and $20,000. So I had my old goal of getting a scholarship wasn't working. My new goal was get this fucking job in the coal mine. I don't care if I see anybody. All I want to do is work and lift weights and save money. And I had a goal to try to save like around $20,000. And when I hit that point, I was going to come up here, pay for all that shit, and start this path to give myself just an opportunity to do what I love. That's all. So I would be there on my knees, my back rubbing the ceiling, shoveling fucking coal on this belt line, which, by the way, is on the floor out front.
Super dope.
Super dope. That's our flooring. So a conveyor belt. You got like fucking not that much room, and I'd be like 15 hours shoveling. You have knee pads on, fucking water dripping on you. It fucking sucks ass. And I would be looking at the guy. They'd have one other guy across the belt. It's so loud you can't talk or whatever. And I remember yelling like, hey, motherfucker, is this really worth $14? And he's fucking laughing. But I thought to my head, like, if this gets me out of here, I'll work I'll make them kick me out.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, Brian. I remember my biggest pay was 93 hours for a week. Not every 2 weeks, for a fucking week. And so I had been working so much, the banks weren't open to cash my checks ever. I would get up at 4 or 5. I'd be at work at 5, and then I would work through day shift, through afternoons, and I would come out at like 11 o'clock.
Never see the sun.
It was dark when I went in. It was dark when I worked. It was dark when I came out. I was so fucking focused that I would then eventually lift a couple days a week, get it in, and that's it, bro. And I think because I had that goal was so dialed for me, and it was so important that I started playing these narratives in my head, like, how do I go and like change stuff for real? And that's what it was going to take. And then when I saw some checks, I had like 8 checks piled up. I couldn't even get to the bank because I was just working so much. I put that money in my account, and I knew no one, like I got the job. I had to get the opportunity, but I put that time, Cory, put that time in to say, this is going to give me just the opportunity to even see if I could do this. And that is all I fucking needed. And once I accomplished that, it really opened up something for me that gave me a different belief. I had a little bit of belief in myself physically, and I had belief once I got to that next step, and I actually was able to move here, pay for all my shit, write a check for my rent, buy this little Acura Integra for $2,000, like get my shit set up, and then go to Columbus State to do something I want. Honestly, I felt like a fucking winner that day.
No doubt. Like you covered in grit.
Yes.
So like Angela Duckworth has this great book called Grit, where she talks about people's first jobs and how it develops their purpose and their drive, and that for word, like that's what, like that purpose to get this opportunity, obviously honed your ability to focus down the road. I think, at least,
no question. And I knew what it took.
Yeah, and then now, like nothing like what you're looking at right now is technically a coal mine, but you can find that same analogy or that microcosm in every battle you face.
Anytime I would have issues through my career, the lunchbox is sitting over there now for inspiration, but I would literally like carry it to work just for myself, because I would think like, dude, how far have you come? And like, what's the possibility still? Yeah. But this is what it's going to continue to take. And I think that's what 4 a.m. does for me. I know that's what it does. I remember telling my stepdad, he was here yesterday, and he told Treadway this when he was talking Treadway's ear off, because he watches all the vlogs and all our lifting stuff. He goes, Cory told me in the morning when I get to do my job I want to do, I'm never getting up this early. You're fucking crazy. And I used to be bitching about all the time. And then I would come back from, 2-3 years into my career, or even lately, when he was still working, I'd be getting up before him, going to the gym before he'd even be going to the mine to start at 6. Yeah. And he was like blown away by that. He's like, you said this. I'm like, yeah, I said never, never, never. Maybe never go back to the coal mine, but never, on that, just understanding that level of craziness. I can see it in people's eyes when I tell them. I know they know it's a separator. Whether they realize it or not, when I say this is what time it is, you don't have time at that time, what are you doing? Yeah. And I leave it, and I just leave like that that awkward quiet to see like what you got.
But like just to fuel this craziness talk, because I think that like again like that quote by Louis is one of my new favorites now. But crazy people give you crazy results. It's the same thing. It's just it's a passion for, we'll call it getting better for lack of a better term, but like that's all you're doing, and like you're separating yourself from what's normal, what's socially acceptable, and those kind of things.
Literally chasing edges.
Yeah, like that's and that's why that's why I'm magnetized to you and the crew, is because that's what the whole culture is about. Mm-hmm. And like that's obviously how you've again faced adversity with your last company and created this new one. Yep. Quick plug, everybody. This episode is brought to you by Max Effort Muscle Supplements. Phenomenal tasting supplements. I take them. I take their amino recovery, their pre-workout, their tri-blend creatine, and their sleep. Been doing phenomenal for me. They are a clean performance brand. They're finishing up their NSF certification as we speak. And then they have all the drip. They have incredible gear. I think they do that better than anybody in the business. And they're supporting the boy. So you can find them at maxeffortmuscle.com or at maxeffortmuscle on social media. Back to the show. And that's how you've, again, I've only really known you through injuries so far. Yeah. And then now
you haven't seen me healthy.
No, I've seen you partially healthy and squat 600 pounds the other day. And like, that's way more than me. So I'm just like, I swear I'm yoked.
Yeah. No, there's some interesting stuff on the way, I think, between that and just physically appearance, like going through I've been competing for 20 years. To have an injury that takes you out of it, even though I'm not competing for quote unquote like a paycheck, right? Like as a actual pro athlete, I treat myself as a pro athlete because my content's what creates, money for me. And having that stole from me for a period of time was really weird. And I've been blessed because I've competed between bodybuilding and powerlifting. I've weighed as less as 165 with my glutes in. I've weighed as heavy as 240 in a big ass powerlifting suit. I've seen the most extreme versions of my body, and I can do this to whatever I want because I understand it at this point. But like taking that away after 20 years, I've been competing since I was 17 years old. At 40, it was like 41, and I was like, I might not be able to bench again. That was fucking weird for me. But you know what it was also? It made me I had so much gratitude. I've been out here acting like a fucking maniac, Brian.
Invincible.
Yes. And I told you the other day, if I can unrack it, I can squat it. Like I got a crazy mentality in the gym and also in business. I think that's where those kind of like line up. And I had a lot of gratitude to be able to do that for all those years. Some guys have major knee problems in high school. Some have and I've done things that I've taken reps I probably shouldn't have taken. I did a fucking Olympic lifting meet on a Friday, a bodybuilding show on Saturday, and a powerlifting meet on Sunday before in the same fucking weekend. So like I've tested the limits. And so it upset me that I thought maybe it was pulled for a second. But then I was like, this is the new narrative. Come back from it. Everyone loves a good comeback story. The amount I'll learn from it. So I'm a glass half full guy. I flipped it. I felt sorry for myself for a couple of days. And then I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not getting surgery. I'm going to go back to benching 300 pounds. I'm going to go see all the smart people I know. Serrano, Louis, Matt Winning, call coaches I know and say, you guys ever hear anybody do this before? Oh, you haven't? Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do it now. But here, give me some feedback on what you think I should do and put it together. And, 2 years later, here we are fucking taking 3 wheels on bench again. Yeah. And so I think that I looked at it as like a challenge, an excitement. Like it was also a check. It was a check for me to say, Cory, at some point, you'll identify with this, like other athletes I talk to, the game checks stop coming. Yeah. So, and it's because of your age and injury, athletic performance, whatever it is. Well, I had to like get some other shit really right in my life, which I was already into, but I got deeper into because of that. So it's not, my money's just not coming from fitness anymore. And I'm proud of that part of my life too. But it was, a lot of it had to do with that 2 years ago. It kind of checked me like, yo, what happens if you can't do get stacked 80?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a problem.
Yeah.
So
it's an opportunity to, again, like you face it positive or negative.
Yep.
And it can be as simple as that switch for awareness of the opportunity in front of you.
It's exactly
and
what
then obviously, like, if you take it as a problem to be solved, it's, again, you get to go deeper. You get to get, like, again, you create an identity outside of just your bench or your body or the sport you're playing. And that's where I think a lot of, like, the football guys and a lot of ex-athletes struggle. They do. Is the identity that, like, if my body's not doing this, if I'm not playing on TV, if I'm not doing whatever the fuck, like, what is my value? And that's not it. Like, now it's be curious, go deeper. And that's where I think your curiosity is off the charts, where whether you are facing adversity from an injury or you're trying to maximize the most out of your body with a competition or those kind of things, like, the curiosity has driven your value and your meaning and the purpose that you've built up in the coal mine. So I think that's really cool. So going back, I want to shift from more like the power stuff now into diet, because a lot of people have sampled diets and those kind of things, but like to the craziness effect of you, you've gone all in on multiple diets. Like, you've been the 160 lean ripped on the cover. You've been to 240 pushing. Should have
never weighed 240.
Yeah, but
cellulite on my hamstrings, 240.
Yeah. And you felt that, and you felt how good you feel being lean, how good you feel with some fat on your body, all those type of things. So what edges there do you think are, like, the most effective for just, we'll keep it with athletes right now, but, like, guys trying to optimally perform, and kind of like the woes you figured to just kind of unpack it how
I think it's like
fit.
When I think about this, you know, we share obviously a mentor in Dr. Eric Serrano, and a couple things that are takeaways from dealing with Doc. One, I'd never taken drugs before, and in my sport, bodybuilding, powerlifting, in all athletes, it's super high, right? We good, Kyle? Yeah, all right. So it's crazy, right? And so I knew I was at a disadvantage. You got to remember, when I came into the game early 2000s, everybody on the cover is like 230 and shredded. Yeah. And here I am weighing 170 and not even that lean yet, right? And so I realized, like, okay, I'm at a disadvantage here. Like, I've got to figure some shit out. And so Serrano happened to be, just his name was on the front of the ultra size jug I was taking. Yeah. So I was like, all right, where the fuck's this guy at? So I look him up and I'm like, oh shit, he's 10 minutes from me and he needs to be my friend. So I just literally, like, start showing up at his office, and like the third time I saw him back there, I didn't even know what he looked like. Yeah. He's like, basically like, what the fuck do you want? Yeah. And I literally said, I own this little personal training studio because I had already started my business down the street. I want to learn how to maximize, you know, myself, like, from a drug-free level, and I think we should be friends. And he was like, and he was like, all right, you know. And I said, you know, I'm doing these contests. I want to make sure the drugs, all that stuff. So I sit down with him, and he basically hit me to, like, I need to be my own science project. Never really thought of it that way before, right? Because I didn't have, like, a traditional diet education. And he was like, read this, The Anabolic Diet by Dr. Mario Di Pasquale. Understand insulin manipulation. Understand high fat versus high carb. Understand that you're on a different playing field than what you've been reading about. Because you got to remember, the Dorian Yates, Lee Haney, that type of shit that was going on in, like, the bodybuilding world. I wasn't as heavy in powerlifting at times, more bodybuilding. These guys are putting their diets out, but they're not putting what they're taking. Yeah, on the side. So I'm like, I'm taking that supplement, and I'm doing 4 sets of 12. What the fuck is going on? And so I think that what happened was the industry had switched, and this is my opinion of how it got fucked up. Arnold and those guys in the 70s, more people aspire to look like them, I would say, right? Yeah. They were doing high fucking volume, eating pretty much the way that we do now, and their drug use was there, but it wasn't outrageous. Yeah. So it still looked natural. It still looked natural enough. Yeah, for sure. Then it shifted. More drugs and in, like, less volume, and it basically fucked up everybody, because they're like, I only need to be doing 5 sets of 12 because that's what this guy's doing. Well, that's not going to force your body to change. What people needed, and this is what I came up with, I needed to do the volume of the 70s, in theory, right? But obviously I'm not taking the drugs, but need to optimize my stuff from a drug-free level to force my body to change. When you hear me say that, that's what it takes. Force the body to change and adapt. These other things are not doing that for anybody, so their results sucked ass. Well, then all of a sudden, when I figured that out and I started messing with Serrano, he's like, take 40 grams of aminos today. Do that. Because he knew I wasn't going to cheat on my diet. He knew I wasn't going to cheat on the protocols. He knew that I could do real-world studies on myself, and I would give him actual feedback.
Yeah.
So, I read the Anabolic Diet by Dr. Mario Di Pasquale. I learn a fucking crap load from it. I think you can get it for free online, by the way. It's everywhere. Dr. Mario's like in his 70s now. He's a fucking G. Also was a powerlifter. Also was a wrestler at a high level. And he had taught Serrano. Like, that was like his mentor.
Yeah.
And so when I started to figure out, like, okay, I'm insulin sensitive. That's why I can't eat oatmeal for fucking breakfast and eat this rice and that. Like, I'm not, my body's not metabolizing it the same way as this guy on the fucking magazine cover. I started to realize, like, this is like a game diet for me, but this is their competition diet. Yeah. It really, a lot of stuff started making sense with Eric. But anyway, so I go high fat, I do carb rotation. I test everything for periods of time, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and then I start competing on it. The best way to do it is, like, have a date on the calendar, put yourself on fucking display. And I started doing bodybuilding shows when I was 20 or 21 years old. I think I was maybe 20. And so I would put a date, I would try a diet, I would see what my result was. Put a date, try a diet, see a result. And I just kept doing that and refining it and doing it, refining. And then I started to get a little bit of a reputation for a guy that could get in really good shape. And I did that for like 7 or 8 years.
That's awesome.
And then Doc would be like, yo, all right, let's try fat loading. I know you.
Yeah, I love.
So I wrote an article on bodybuilding.com that was really popular about fat loading. And so I was only like 172 or something at the time. I was pretty lean, but I was pretty flat. And so he said, and I don't know if he realized how big my appetite was. He goes, eat like under 30 grams of carbs, which would be like, keto-ish. Yeah. And do that for like a week and then try a fat load where you eat 5 meals and you eat as much fat. And he told me eggs, beef, nuts. That was my 3. I didn't eat avocados then. I don't know why. Yeah. I probably couldn't afford them. But anyway, so he goes,
stores yet,
yeah, exactly. So I go, all right, cool. So in the morning, I eat a dozen eggs with cheese on it. My second meal, I buy a tin of cashews. I eat the whole fucking thing. So, then for lunch, I eat these huge steaks, butter all over them. I go like the fucking, not Roadhouse, but fucking, one of the chains, whatever. Eat a porterhouse. For afternoon, I eat another tin of cashews. For dinner, I eat another 12 eggs and a bunch of cheese on it. And then there was a really hardcore gym in the hood on East Livingston, a world gym at the time. I go there to do like fucking arms or something just because I'm feeling juicy. So, and there's a gang of motherfuckers in that gym, juice for real on juice, right? So I get different kind of juice. So I'm in there and I'm getting the pump of my fucking life because I had ate like 12,000 calories that day.
Yeah.
Dude, I've got like muscle laying on veins. I look like a fucking freak show. I'm in that bitch in a stringer tank, right? Getting it.
Feeling good.
I feel it, motherfucker.
Digging.
Striated, boy. Yeah, right? So I'm in this bitch striated as a motherfucker and posing like I'm fucking Mr. Olympia. But I got dudes on drugs coming up to me like, yo, you like come to our side?
Give me that.
Yeah. Like, what's going on, G? And what's crazy was my testosterone I didn't test it, but felt outrageous. Just almost immediate because of the calorie intake. And then the next day I get up and I'm 2 pounds lighter. And I'm like, how the fuck is that?
I ate 12,000 calories.
I ate 12,000 calories and I was 2 pounds lighter, dry, nasty. And I was like, okay, Eric. Like, yeah.
Let's keep talking.
Let's keep talking. And so this uncovered me chasing a path of a lifestyle over time that took years and years. So to give you some backdrop, for 15 years, I basically followed 5 meals a day. I would do some fat loading. I would do a gain and a cut phase and all those things and had great results. I did 13 covers of magazines. I won a lead in powerlifting. I won drug-free pro card. Like I've done pretty much all that stuff that was possible. But I still had a very hard fall off in the off season where I would gain too much weight or there was like too much swing. I'd be all in or all all out. And my family, this is what really came. My family would be like, "Are you eating Thanksgiving, Christmas?" And I hated that was a question, because I was like, I should be able to understand how to fucking balance my body out enough that answer is always yes.
Yeah.
Especially for an event, for a
like,
cookout. Like, I should be able to say, yeah. But
like,
that wasn't my answer for a long time.
Yeah, you should always create space for life. Like, that's where I think some of the discipline gets a little maybe crazy, extreme.
No, it was.
Yeah.
It was. But my result was there.
Yeah.
But I would argue, my wife would agree that I was a fucking asshole during that time, because I was so, just like anybody in season, so fucking dialed and motivated, but there was like no balance to it at all.
That's where do you own the routine, or does the routine own you?
It owned me, for sure. The result, like I said, once again, my dream of cover, and I was on the cover with my kids. Like, there was some crazy shit that happened, but it was at a cost. And I think we all pay a cost for some type of, to even give it a chance to try to be great. But I was really struggling okay, I'm still missing something. But I think by dealing with Serrano, it taught me to keep looking for it, which is what I'm always chasing, right? Is like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And I would tell you that when I did find it, which is part of my business, so I'm not going to give all the goodies away, but I'll tell you this. At the time of my transition from my business, I was a co-founder at Muscle Farm. Leaving that, I found it. If I would have found it a year earlier, it would have been free on bodybuilding.com. It's just a fact, because that's what I was doing in my business. I found it, and I knew I found it, meaning that I could live a high level of fitness, strength-wise, because I will tell you this part. I used to run all the time, sprints all the time, do all that stuff. I couldn't keep it up. But when I started lunging as my GPP, that was part of the science, right? Or not the science. I don't even know the science. I just know it fucking is awesome and it works. But
it's intuitively good.
It was intuitively good that I would quit doing traditional cardio. I would lift weights like a savage. Then I would lunge a half mile every day. That changed my metabolic rate forever. But when I figured that and really dialed it in, I was able to say yes to the answer I always said no to, meaning I could live life on the weekends. I could enjoy myself, but there was a certain amount of discipline I had to have during the week. And I found a balance that then I was able to create an entire business around, which really set my family up after. So, and I call it anabolic fasting, basically.
Yeah, like the intuitive side of it's always appealing to me, because everybody wants to, like, say you look good, you're putting up big numbers, people want to know why and how and those kind of things. And sometimes, like, it's not like a clean cut answer, or like I'm not following this diet, it's a mixture of things, or this method is a mixture of things. But intuitively, I know it helps and feels good. That's why, like, you probably catch some shit on the lunges, like lunge every day or the squat every day stuff, where like, what is it really doing? What's the science? I got to know the science before I do it, which is trash. And I think a lot of people these days are so far away from feel. Like, they're it's bananas that people don't understand, like, how am I really feeling? Am I caffeinated, alcohol? Like, am I watching and stimulating myself with media and my phone and all these things? How am I really feeling? And that's why I love, like, the breath work and the actual, like, sitting with yourself. Good. Like, all those things, but like, and actually doing the diets and being like, oh, I feel good. Like, I've been
practical app, bro.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, I've been stupid lean before, and I felt like absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
And then, but people want my diet because I look good.
Yeah, but usually when you look your best, you don't perform your best.
Oh, no doubt.
That doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah, and then if you start looking at it practically, like football, I don't want to be 6% body fat running around with nothing, with no
durability.
Yeah, padding in my joints. Like, I need X amount of fat in my body, and particularly my brain, so that my brain can fight inflammation, which is a problem in football. But like, back to the intuitive side of things, where like like obviously you found that in diet, but you've also found it in training as well.
For sure.
Yes.
Which I love to talk about, because for me, I was answering questions in my own mind through practical application and being a guinea pig. Once again, learning from Serrano. Yeah. So, we got a meet coming up here soon, but this meet 10 years ago I did same exact meet in Tennessee. It changed my life forever, because I went there and I didn't do very good. And I came home looking for the fucking crazy. I went there, I opened at 650, I missed all 3 of them, and I got kicked out of the meet because I bombed out. And so I came home and I put in the Google search bar, what happens if I fucking squat every day? That's what I wrote. Literally. Fucking typed it in.
What'd Google say?
Yeah. Google said John Bros.
Google said you're crazy.
Yes. And that's who I found.
Yeah.
John Bros. John Bros is an American Olympic lifter that lived with a Bulgarian with the last name Abadjaev, I believe, who snatched 500 pounds. I think it's the biggest. I think there's a guy right now that's close to beating it.
Dear Lord.
Yeah. So he was taking the white pills or whatever the fuck they were too, obviously in Bulgaria. Those guys would front squat max in the morning and back squat max in the evening every fucking day. So obviously I knew they were taking shit I wasn't taking, but I was like, okay. I understand the conjugate method, which is creating different variations of exercises. I understand that if I'm under the bar, and one thing I read about John, he said, it's like shaking hands with the bar every day. And I realized I wasn't comfortable under the bar as much as I needed to be an elite person at it, right, at my body weight. And I was like, I'm not comfortable enough. I need more time under it. I need to shake hands with it. I'm not just pumping up my quad for a fucking bodybuilding show. Like, I need to love it. And I didn't front squat that much, so I needed to teach myself that too. And so I was like, for a month, right after the meet, I started the next day. Didn't fucking care how I felt, whatever. I get up and I squat for a month and I don't tell anybody. I don't post it. I'm missing weights in my basement by myself that I'm embarrassed of to myself. No one else can see it. And I'm like, all right, this is the fucking problem. You need something fucking crazy to change everything. So I think it was on day 31, I posted the first one. It was a back squat 365. Wasn't that easy. High bar, whatever. So now I compete in powerlifting in the suits and stuff, and I compete in raw both at that time. Right now I've been doing the suits again to try to stay healthy. But so my best back squat in a meet, though, I think was only a little over 400 pounds at the time. And so I go, well, that's fucking weak as fuck, right? I think I did 465 or something. So I go on a streak for fucking 3 years, and I don't miss a fucking day. And I'm recording it, and I start getting, I'm doing front squats, back squats, all kinds of shit. And I start getting a lot of fucking people coming at me, good and bad. But now all of a sudden, Olympic lifters are paying attention. Power lifters are paying attention. Bodybuilders are paying attention. And I'm not a world record guy at any of it. But they're seeing the effort. They're seeing the misses. They're seeing the makes. I put it up no matter what.
Which I think is powerful in and of
Very
itself,
powerful.
because
you're showing your fails and your successes.
Yeah, you're not hiding your failures in the basement. They're still out on the platform.
Oh, dude, I would be front squatting in my basement, and there's a nerve that runs on your fucking collarbone. One time I went to sleep on a 330 front squat, and I was recording it. I threw the bar. I was passed out. I woke up and I was like, oh shit, wonder what that video looks like. So and there would be times I'd miss weights in the morning. I'd go down the fucking basement and make it 12 hours later. I was psycho with it. I ended up back squatting 550 at 198 raw, 540 at 181 raw, 700 multiple different times in my suit. And it changed everything for me. Through that adversity and through that curious nature, I created relationships I would never have right now. I created ultimate separation between me and every other fucking dude that's got abs out here. And I hit some totals I was really proud of. My deadlift was right around 600. I pulled 575 multiple times in meets. I fucking squatted high fives. I did exactly what I wanted to do. And I learned so much and got respect from so many different people I didn't even think about. It separated me forever. When that program hit bodybuilding.com, it did 38 million page views or something crazy like that. It literally took me into another stratosphere from a standpoint of notoriety of people understanding, but it wasn't because there's still a lot of people way fucking stronger than me, but it was the process and understanding that changed everything for me at that time. And to this point, that's how most people know me, is either from standing by Arnold, interviewing him and doing stuff with him, or from the squat every day. But I would argue most of it's probably from the squat every day.
Yeah, because you're reframing people's minds on how they view the squat. No, that's a twice a week thing, that kind of thing. And that's where I think, obviously, the first person to the wall is always the bloodiest. You're that first person where...
To the mainstream, I think I might have been.
Yeah, and that's why you probably caught all those rocks and the hate, too.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
yeah, fuck this guy, ain't even strong. What's he doing?
Yeah.
Cool, keep watching, bro.
Yeah. Keep
watching.
See you in 3 years.
Don't at me. I don't even know who you are. You know what I mean? Whatever. But what I think it did, I would say, I'm gonna pat myself for a second.
Pump those tires.
I'm gonna pump. The only thing I really believe that I'm elite at is actually programming, and I'll tell you why. Is because it's the thing I've been doing the longest, with the most amount of reps and practical application. So when it came down to it, I've been making workouts since fucking high school with my friends. The reason why most people knew me at Muscle Farm is because I was giving out free workouts all the time. The reason why I created the stuff at bodybuilding.com is because they were shooting my work. All of this comes down to working out, which is why the 4 a.m. shit is so important to me, because it's the base of why I'm even fucking here.
Yeah, which is why you embody the don't miss. Like,
correct.
I love that
it's
shit.
The reps is what got me here. And so when I looked at the squat every day, went through it, got this, got that, then I added the bands, then I had 9, then we're doing 30 different variations of squats, understand the conjugate method. Like, I was deep in why this is working. I might not be able to break it down from an exact science, but I can break it down of why the programming works, how the body, like how we got stronger. And now we're grabbing world records in my group. The base level of strength and jackness at the 4 a.m. crew is off the fucking charts. And it's like guys will get hurt if they ain't serious and they come try to train with us. It's just a fucking fact at this point. But I know how I got here because of, like, I went and took all the fucking bumps and bruises early on all these methods myself and uncovered something that is literally unique to us and me here. It's here. No, someone else might have come up with squatting every day. There ain't one fucking place on the planet that does it how we do it. It's just a fucking fact. And what I am passionate about is now getting that out more, because I believe I'm seeing it with my own kid. I'm seeing it with college athletes, high school athletes, and powerlifters, CrossFitters. People do benefit from this physically, but from the mentality of saying, I'm going to get under that fucking bar and I'm going to stand the fuck back up today and then tomorrow. And yeah, should you do it during the middle of season? No.
Yeah.
But should you run through it from a 30-day clip maybe?
Think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
there's a long riff to craziness, but
no, but
it's serious.
But that's what I want, is the craziness and the edges, and like, because like that breeds your confidence, that breeds your edges.
No question.
And you have this 20-year window of, we'll call it quantifiable data on what you do. Obviously, it creates your resume and your experience now that obviously breeds your business. But like that is like the tracking of it and the experimenting, I think, is the structure that breeds this better, crazy life that you want to live.
And I love putting it out there because it made me have to make weights I probably wouldn't have made.
Yeah.
So once I said, I'm going to put it out there, I knew I was literally, because MP was cracking at that point. I knew I had a couple 100,000 people watching. That's when the algorithm was actually showing all the videos to everybody. So I was like, okay, I'm really, I'm going to put myself out for some shit. But what happened was, like, day 12, day 13, people started to be like, this dude's not, like, quitting this. Yeah. And it really became where people were starting to come back every day. Like, what variations are you doing this week? What's going on here? Why are you doing this? People became very inquisitive about that whole thing, which is, the reason why I was doing it for myself, and like to just showcase, like, yo, I am different than what else is going on. There is a separator between me and the rest of these fitness dudes that I wanted to be on top business-wise, but on top from an athlete standpoint, covers, and doing these lifts and competing and put myself out there. I didn't want to fucking be chilling in the chair whenever shit was cracking. I wanted to have my foot on the gas to let people know that I'm out here pushing. Like, you're taking my supplements, the same shit I'm taking. It's the same. That's how I got here. This is how my recovery is going. Like, you can follow me. Actually follow me. I'm not doing something else I'm not telling you about. This is what's really happening. And by the way, I'm not Mr. Olympia and I'm not a world record holder, but I'm getting every ounce of what's fucking possible out of this guy. And that's what you're going to see. And that's what they've been seeing this whole time.
Hell yeah. I love that the authenticity to that.
It's the fucking truth.
Yeah, and it's just it's powerful is what it is. And I like the idea of speaking things into existence too. Like, you tell enough people you're doing something.
Yes. Like,
if you're not doing it, eventually they're gonna come back. Me and this podcast and you saying, "Hey, when are we doing this?"
Yeah. No, I called your ass and said, "Let's get it going." I want to use the room. I want you to feel the vibe in here, and like, my excitement for you might be just as much as your excitement for you, because I know it, because I hear what shit you're saying out here. All of us hear it.
Yeah, and there's the accountability in saying that, because like, if you don't do it, somebody's like, hey, like I'm gonna leave my job and start my own business or whatever. Like, like, you're still here, bud.
Yeah. No, I think that healthy amount of pressure is important, Brian.
Yeah.
And I think the locker room gives you that. I think coaches give you that, and I think that's what we do here, right? And I'm aware of that because I need it too. And so I think that those things are important for success for people. That's why that circle being small and understanding what needs to happen is really important.
Yeah, and I think that's the power of, again, like putting something out there because it makes you accountable, whether it's not like on social or a podcast and that kind of thing. It's just a massive amount of momentum.
Well, I'm going to ask you like every week when this comes out.
Yeah,
now.
for sure. Yeah. Well, this is just this might have to be the first one now. Yeah. No,
I love it.
No, and like that, and it's cool because you've bred this into, like, again, you're an extreme human, and we might leave all the like the powerlifting edges behind because you go crazy, like you got the wraps, you got the bodysuit and that kind of stuff because you're not in it for like, I'm not going to show up and just like see how much I can lift. I want to see how much I can fucking
push
lift.
The limits.
Yeah.
Well, I think that this is what's also a lot of people. It's funny because there's been some people locally since we moved and got the new HQ. More people are kind of aware, even if they're not heavy on social media. They're catching some wind of some of this stuff that they're seeing where I'm slapping my fucking self and yelling like a maniac or whatever. And the one coach from my kid's like baseball team who's 10, he goes, "You're really like two different people. Like, I don't really see that intent." I'm like, yeah, what you're watching is me and my complete like element where I can be myself. I can say what I want. No one can tell me to go fuck home. Like, I created this environment to be ultimately me, and everyone else basically like, if you don't like it, then fucking don't watch it. And what he was saying is that, but you're not yelling like that. Like it's your kid misses a ball at second base. I'm like, well, I'm not going to bring that intensity to like an organized environment like that. Like this is like an all out savage type of spot, like on purpose.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I can be like, I don't have to act that way. It's just the way I am. And I am chasing that I want to test myself. I don't compete so I can make $200 or get a fucking bowling trophy. I'm there to see if when the lights are on me, if my preparation was right, and when I unrack that bar, if I can fucking squat it. Like I'm there to test Cory Gregory. If you get any type of like motivation or impact from that, and I can teach you something, I'm going to, but I am there to like push myself. That is the only way I've gotten better. I have had something on my calendar to compete in since I was 17 years old. Every fucking quarter, year, except for last year, which was partly because of injury and partly because of COVID, but mostly because of injury. The year before that, when I ripped my fucking rotator cuff off, I did a fucking bodybuilding show 4 months later, and I won. And I had like a fucking flat shoulder. So it's like, I need that represented. I have to have something I'm training for because it makes me more disciplined. It makes the people around me more disciplined and more accountable. And it makes me know that like, I can't not show up. Lifting is always first for me. It's just the way it is. And this is why I think I locked in with Arnold so much. Even when we were doing big, crazy numbers in business, and ever since we were still friends, I see him multiple times a year. Like, he never asked me about business first or even family first. He asked me about lifting first. That's the same thing I want to talk to him about. Like, he knows that I got that. So he's like, what are you training for? How's your conditioning? What have you kind of uncut? Like, what are you into right now? Dude, when Betty Weeder was at his house when I was there for Christmas, he came over. This is how he introduced me to Betty Weeder. Hey, Betty, remember when we used to squat all the time? We didn't like it as much. This guy squats every day, and he's got abs. Feel him, and he pokes me in the fucking stomach. Like, my mind was, like, blown off. I'm like, what? But that, even up to him, he couldn't even, like, grasp, like, you guys are fucking doing this every day? Like, it was wild. But that's the separator I've always been looking for. What is the fucking shit that makes me different in a most saturated environment that can help people, including my business, myself, our performance? And it's like I'm always trying to find it. And I've been able to find some spots which really separated me from everyone else. But it was all based around not business. It was based around me as a lifter. How do I get better as a lifter? Because this isn't working. I need something more extreme. I need something that moves the fucking needle that's going to get me out of bed because I know I'm going to be uncomfortable because it's not really proven. And that's really, I think, uncovering these things over all these years is what's helped me build confidence to like take the chances in business on top of it, because I'm taking chances in a weight room all the fucking time. And I ain't died yet, so fucking let's keep it rocking.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Ramos from Westside told me that. Dude, that's part of where the unrack it, I could squat it type thing. He's like, you're not going to fucking die. There you go.
You fucking go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Whether it's in the weight room or
Yeah,
in
it doesn't
business.
matter.
And like
Yeah.
that's why it's cool to
You can recover.
sit in this compound right now. Like this isn't a G-rated normal compound.
No.
Like you went extreme on it. Like you
For
have
sure.
the setup, you have all these
It's
things.
authentic to the fullest.
Yeah, and like the authenticity, like we'll probably wrap up after this, but like the authenticity part about it, where like that guy's testing you at soccer practice and saying, hey, like that's a different thing. Like that's they say like that's not authentic to you're not the same person all day long. You should never be the fucking same person all day long. You should be this almost stoicism where you should be capable of all these masks. Like I should be capable of great violence, strength, and savagery.
I fucking love that whole thing, Brian.
And so now, can I wear this mask and like get that extreme part of my system out?
Yes.
And then can I go home and be the best dad? Can I catch all the innings in the bullpen?
Yeah.
After squatting, go and catch
fucking 2 bullpens. Yeah.
Like,
I fucking love that because the great violence, great peace thing you said to me in the gym when you came made so much sense to me. And then when that guy said that to me, he wasn't meaning in disrespect. He was just like, couldn't understand it.
Doesn't have the awareness.
And I said, well, here's the difference. His name's Adam. He's a great guy. I said, Adam, what the difference is that I'm getting that out of my system, and that's me in that environment. Now I'm dad. So I'm not going to act like I do after a fucking 700-pound squat when my kid hits maybe when he gets a home run or something, I'm going to jump up and down, but I'm in a different environment. So you're going to get, but I watched the Hall of Fame speech from Troy Polamalu, and he might be one of the best versions of great violence and great peace. Yeah. And I listened to, as he talked about that in his speech, and I was like, this is like fucking epic, because you would see him like a fucking wild man on the field. I grew up a Steeler fan, so jumping over the fucking center, like he would hang it out there, which is why he was a Hall of Famer. But then you hear him talk about his family, hear him talk about how he would execute stuff, and it's like very peaceful. And so I've really, ever since you said that to me a few months ago, that has made even more sense. Then I watched that, and now I'm recognizing that about myself, and I'm trying to push myself even more that way, because I think that, which has also kind of probably turned me up even more now that I'm healthy, because I'm even embracing that even more in an authentic way, because it's the balance that I need, even though they're both kind of wild. It fills me up.
Yeah, it's still an extreme for you to chase. Like the reference he was referring to is like obviously you want to be capable of whatever you're getting paid to do or whatever your life, especially. But like at the end of the day, like I want to test the extremes of myself. I want to be capable of great violence and great peace, whether that's MMA or football or those type of things, or weightlifting, powerlifting, and then great peace. Like, can I roll with the punches outside of there? Can I meditate? Can I breathe? Can I react and have open-minded conversations and not be like triggered by all these little things and headlines or whatever it is? You want to be capable of this entire spectrum, and now you start stretching your spectrum, and the whole comfort zone in between becomes phenomenal.
Yes.
Like now you know how to transition into the violence, into the peace, and everywhere in between. So like that's where there's a lot of power there. And then obviously like it's just another edge to chase, and so maybe the more peaceful you become, the more violent you become.
I feel like that's kind of what's starting to happen, especially as I'm also have such a gratitude to be back, being able to just get back on the platform, right? And so I'm embracing that a little bit more. And I think that I like to test myself to know that it's in there still, because you can lose it.
Yeah,
it's a fact.
A lot of life is you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah, that's facts, right? You sit around, it rusts up. And so there's an element to that, like that I can't, I'm addicted to that part. I'm addicted to Wednesdays, which is our back squat day. I'm addicted to that. Our back squat day, Wednesday at 4 a.m. is way more intense than any meet we'll ever go to. And by the way, our guys are the ones going to be winning all the weight classes anyway. So we're going against the strongest guys are here. Yeah. We're going to run into some freaks here and there, but the reality is our guys are at the top tier. So I'm not going to see much better of a 181 than Will Green, or a 98 than Zach Matheny, or Tyler Galbraith, or Cole Susai, or any of the guys that are in here banging weights. I'm not going to see much better than that when I go out there, because we've got this environment. So I'm addicted to, gee, can you turn that up even more? Can you raise that bar to showcase that, yeah, motherfucker, I'm walking up to the bar wrapped up, thought I was going to take 5 this, fucking throw a quarter on. Let's see if I can just fucking stand back up. Yeah. Like as I'm walking to the bar, when me and Todd just talked about what was smart or not.
I was there for
that.
Yeah,
so there's things that are, maybe not smart, and things that aren't smart, but I think I live for that moment of testing myself, or miss a weight and come right back and fucking get it. Don said his first day I was here, I missed a weight, then I went up 50 pounds and made it.
Yeah.
Because part of it is fucking mental and technique. And I just think people lose track of a couple things. You leave sports, whether it's high school, college, pro, whatever it is. You miss the locker room. You miss the practice time. You miss the competition. You don't realize how much you miss it. What I'm saying is you're missing camaraderie. You're missing fucking accountability. And you're missing that you have to fucking show up. Motherfucker, I got to show up every day in multiple ways. And then when I have that date on the calendar, I still have competition represented in my life as a almost 43-year-old human. That is not common. It's just not fucking common. So, yeah, your high school basketball game that you played in fucking 20 years ago, you had to show up, but people lose it. I didn't lose it, bro. That is why I have the edge, because I keep it represented in my life on purpose, because I love seeing if I still fucking got it. And you realize that real fucking quick, that you do or you don't. And there might be a day where I don't, but motherfucker, it ain't today.
Yeah. No, I love that. And we'll wrap it up there, where like one of the most powerful things that I've in this powerlifting world I've stepped into as of late is the failure that happens like that. Like, obviously you're going to mostly a 1-rep failure most of the things we're doing Monday through Wednesday. And like that is your own like personal battle every day.
Yes.
Like, yeah, you're competing against other guys on the rack, but like at the same time you're like, there's this like basically decision point where like this weight's maybe 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
And you're like,
you versus you, player.
Yeah, I'm gonna slay the beast, or I'm gonna get stabbed in the throat.
That's why
like,
you love it.
Yeah, and it's just that is like that's more than the push to like, oh, start your day off right, make your bed, drink your water, do your breath work, whatever the hell you're like, don't look at the phone. But like no, like I'd rather like sink or swim, like jump or not. Like that's even this more push. And it's bled into the rest of my life, and that's why, again, like this place is magnetic, magic, all the above. But like that, I think, is a really cool aspect of what you do and what the crew does. That it's like this, the way you start your day is like, I'm facing fear, I'm facing failure, and I'm doing all these things, and then you build off that, and it's like you either like have a day because you got it, or you're motivated because you failed, and it's just like
it's one or the other,
it's
homie.
Win-win. And so
I like that you articulated that way, Brian, because the conjugate method, which is why I like it so much, is you're going to a daily max of a variation. So it's always different, which is challenging your body, but you have the decision point where, okay, last time I did this, I made 500. Can I make 505? Can I make 605? Can I, and whatever that is. And you have to decide, and not every day's fucking Christmas and rainbows. That's part of it. But that challenge daily, I think, is maybe even more of a secret sauce than I realized. Yeah. And that right there, and I like this, what I love. Kyle Brett, he does insurance for a living. He misses a fucking deadlift. He hates it all day long. He'll text me about it. Still think about that deadlift. His world has nothing to do with that deadlift. But that right there has propelled his career more, because it's like a different level of fucking that you want it. And I'm telling you, that has been the ultimate separator for me, is that it's still that important, no matter what the number is, no matter what the occasion is, no matter what my business is doing, it's still that important to me. And I think that really has been the help to how all this was created. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah, dude, just an eternal edge chaser. I love it. Well, we'll wrap it up there, just because we go deep on every single edge you've done.
We can do a part 2, I'm sure.
I mean, we can hit the subs and how those got created, all that kind of stuff down the road. But really, dude, just to appreciate your time, appreciate the juice, and really just how you live your life, and welcome me into the community.
Yeah, of course, Brian. Listen, I can't wait to watch your kind of path through podcasting, the contacts that you have, what you can bring out of people. I'm going to be one of your first listeners, and I'm a fan, and I'm glad to have you at the gym.
Dog.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Boom. Quick plug, everybody. This episode is brought to you by the Mindstrong Project. The boys over there coach breathwork, mental skills, natural living, and natural movement, all in the pursuit of optimal performance. They offer one-on-one coaching, organizational consulting, and an online membership that can be found at mindstrongproject.com. I think breathwork is a missing pillar in performance. I think it is an incredible edge to train smarter, not harder. You can improve VO2 max, you can control your state, and you can reach these different levels of meditation through the breath, and also through natural living. There's plenty of biohacks in the world of breathwork and natural living that Mindstrong does a great job uncovering. Again, you can find the boys at mindstrongproject.com or at the Mindstrong Project on social. Again, that's at the Mindstrong Project on social. And then shameless plug, full transparency, I am a minority owner in the company. Hopefully that doesn't stop you from checking out the boys and understanding that breath is a massive edge to both control your physiology and control your psychology.